Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am your host, Nora Gonzalez, and welcome to our summit, Ignite the Leader in You. And our expert speaker today is Joe Nunziata. Hi, Joe.
How are you? How's everything?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
So let me give a little quick bio. So Joe is a best-selling author, spiritual life and business coach, and professional speaker. He has been delivering his life-changing message at events and seminars. Joe teaches that to make permanent changes, you must clear your energy and break destructive patterns of behavior at the core. So thank you, Joe, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and my first question would be can you share with our audience what got you on this path to be of service?
Yeah, for me, I think like all of us, something happens, usually negative. And, unfortunately, that seems to be the way it works, right, for everybody. Lost my dad when I was young. A lot of things happened to me. I was struggling in my career and many other ways in my life. And I actually started out just by going to therapy because I was trying to help myself. So I went to therapy, and that was the beginning of my process of really, I think before, obviously, we got into helping people, we had to help ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with that work on myself, and I just started. Then from there, after doing that for a couple of years, I did a lot of work in that area. I did, took classes. I read a lot of books on cognitive therapies and things like that, and started to, get all kinds of information. Then that led me more into the next phase, which was the metaphysical, energy, spiritual work. So that was kind of the way it happened. And I was really just doing it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not thinking about teaching anything because I was just using these principles to help myself in my career, my life. And people just started asking me, you seem different. What's going on? What have you been doing? And I started to share this with others, and it just kind of organically went from there. So I think it was more of a, I used it on myself. I was the guinea pig, and then I went out and tried helping
Everybody wanted in on what you were doing.
Yeah, they wanted to know what was different.
Yeah, and I think it's great for people to hear that if you can't get there by yourself on your own, it's good to reach out for help, because if you could have done it, you would have already done it, right?
Yeah, I think we all need help. I don't know that there's anybody who's been on the journey that did not have some kind of help, mentors, teachers, whatever it is that at different points help them. So I don't know anyone that I've ever met that said, yeah, I did it all myself and I didn't need any help. I never found it. I have not found it. So
yeah, and I think that's why sometimes we get stuck where we're at, is because we don't ask for help.
Yes, for sure. No question.
Yes, thank you. So our title today is Power Without Ego. So tell us, Joe, what is your definition of power?
So this was the reason I wanted to do this, and I'm working on a book with this title that will come out in 2020. And the reason I wanted to address this was because we have a distortion of what power is based on what we learned growing up. So for most of us, we look at power as, money, status, political position, whatever, you're a celebrity. And that's how we've always learned that's what it is to have power.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth about it, when you go at it from a spiritual position, power is really in your peacefulness. So when I meet high level, and I work with master spiritual teachers and enlightened master teachers, and you see them, they're in a whole different, there's no bravado, there's no ego, they're just in that space of calm. So your power is really you generating the feeling of self-love. And then when you're generating a feeling of self-love, you are in such a state of high energy and power that you are then, that energy is just going out to everybody else. But you don't need, the real key to it is you don't need anything external to have power. And I think that's the message that people need to understand.
Yeah, because they're always looking for power outside themselves.
Yeah, that's what we all learned. So that's how we learned it.
Yeah. So then money is not needed for that then, to be power. So you don't need money to have power.
You don't need anything. You basically just need yourself. So the idea is, if you think of someone, and one of my favorite examples is Gandhi, because Gandhi had no money, had no property, had no possessions, yet he became one of the most powerful people in the world.
Yeah.
Mother Teresa, another one, became tremendously powerful, didn't have money, didn't have assets, like as we would talk about, or stocks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about, that's our perception, but that's not really true. because the power comes from within yourself. And then it can manifest in many different ways, but you don't need anything. The real thing is you don't need anything to have power. That's the key.
Wow. Yes. So where does it come from? How does someone tap into that power?
Well, so the first thing you really have to do if you want to tap into being powerful is you have to let go of attachments to the physical world, because this is what's getting us all off the track and getting us in trouble, because we're so busy chasing after all these things that we think we need to be happy and feel better and be fulfilled. So by doing that, I'm on a constant wheel of chasing after something, and then I get that thing and it doesn't work out, and I go on to the next thing, and I go, we've all seen this a million times.
Yeah.
So now what it comes down to, that's phase one, is you detach from, now it doesn't mean, and I like to be clear with people, because we're living in a physical world. Obviously we have,
Yes.
we have to live somewhere, we have to eat, we have to have, a roof over our head, so to speak. So it doesn't mean you can't have those things. It's just the idea of, I don't want to be attached. So if you like something and you purchase something because it brings you joy, that's wonderful. If you purchase something because you say, well, by me having this, it feeds my ego, and I want to see people see me driving a certain car or having a pair of shoes or whatever it is that I'm doing. Now I have attachment. Yeah. So the first phase of it is I must release the attachment. It doesn't mean I can't have it. See, this is the little trick to it.
Yeah.
But I can't be attached to it.
Yeah, because if you lose it, then you lose your power because you're attached to it.
Right, because I believe that without, a lot of people believe that the status that they have, the job that they have, whatever position that they have, that's where they get their power from. So that's very tenuous, because at any moment, I saw this, being from New York, and I was there in 2008 when the economy crashed, and all my friends who worked on Wall Street and worked in banks, and a lot of them lost their jobs, and they were devastated, and they didn't know what they were going to do, because all of their identity and power came from their job and what they did. So we have to understand that I don't really need those things. And if I have it, that's fine. But if I lose it, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean I can't replace it with something else or do something else or get power, create and manifest something else. So that, again, the attachment and the belief is very important. And if that's where people live, in that attachment and belief system, that will create that situation over and over.
Yeah. So can you give us like a hint, an idea of a process of how they can start detaching from that attachment?
Well, the real key to my work over the years has been understanding yourself emotionally. And you have to be able to look at yourself in an honest manner and say, how do I feel about possessions? And what is my true feeling about it? What do I believe about this? And when people are honest, they can really do some great work, but most people are not, because they don't want to admit, you know what? I feel like I bought that other house, a vacation home, so I could, instead of saying, I really didn't buy it because I bought it because my ego needed that house. So it's kind of like what we see with people who are very wealthy, and God bless them, and I don't take away from anybody. You've been successful, but they buy more homes and they buy more cars and they buy more. So it's almost like I need to keep proving to you that I am the biggest and the baddest in the world. Yeah. Because in a spiritual sense, that makes no sense, because I would say, well, once I have what I need, my next step should be helping other people. I have, people have hundreds of millions of dollars and they're still obsessed with getting more, because that's where they believe their power comes from. Yeah. So that's where we create the distortion and the imbalance.
And I think the happiness goes out the door when you do that, because it's affected by that as well. It's attached to that.
Yeah, because I'm on a never-ending wheel that I'm almost on it. It's an insatiable wheel. I can never fulfill it because I always want more, more, more. It's kind of like a glutton, right? It's one of the 7 deadly sins, right? Gluttony, which is no matter how much I eat, I want to eat more. And it's almost where a healthy person would say, okay, I'm satisfied, I ate enough, and leave some for somebody else. So it's kind of the same idea. Like, I need all the money because I have to have everything, because that's the way I feel like that's what I need to keep myself going. And that, of course, is very destructive, because it will create a lot of other problems in other areas of your life. Because when you're doing that, you're putting yourself under a lot of stress and duress. And you're also usually creating a lot of collateral damage along the way, which is affecting people in a negative way. So it's just not a good road to go down.
Yeah, no, it's not. It doesn't even sound like a good road to go down.
No.
So let me ask you, so how does one create the power within themselves?
So the power within yourself is really focusing on, and it takes a lot for us because our journey here is the same. We all are on the same journey because we're all one energy. So our ultimate goal is to be in a state of self-love and understand that only we have the power to create that. It will never be created externally. So the journey for us is I must love myself. And when I love myself, that means I accept myself, that I am perfect for the journey that I came to have in this lifetime. And I do not judge myself and I do not criticize myself. It doesn't mean I think I'm perfect, but I am perfect for my journey. So I accept myself with warts and all, and I love myself every day, but I'm not loving myself in an egoic way. See, I'm not loving myself to be bragging or to say I'm better than you. I'm loving myself just in a pure essence of I love myself because that's the essence of and we all should love ourselves because we're all great.
Yeah.
But it's a hard place to get to because we have so many beliefs and things that we've grown up with. And who do you think you are that you like? You're not allowed to love yourself. So we've got to get past all that and then let go of all these attachments. And then also what ends up happening as you do this is your identity starts to dissolve. So we all have an identity because we need one to live in this life, and we need an ego to live in this life as individuals, where we think we're individuals. So as you start shedding attachment, your identity starts to shift. And this for a lot of people is difficult because they're saying, hey, this was my identity my whole life. Yeah. I was always the XYZ, the responsible one, the leader, the one who took care of everyone, the one who made sure everybody got what they, so now as you are elevating and loving yourself, you're going to give up a lot of those things because you realize I don't need to do that anymore. And that's also a scary thing for people because
it could feel painful sometimes. I mean, we think it feels like pain.
Well, it could be, it's not easy because it's disruptive. So anything disruptive we see as, is discomfort. So there's always there's discomfort, there's pain. Yes. There's also fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Because when you start shifting out of your identity, it's almost like who am I now? I'm not this person anymore that I thought I was. So I think of it as a deconstruction and reconstruction. So for example, you were born, you have karma, you came in, you took on all this stuff from your parents and everything else, and that was your house that you built. But now at higher energy, you realize, well, there's a lot of stuff in that house I don't want. So because I didn't pick it, I didn't pick that bathroom and I didn't pick that kitchen. So, metaphorically, I look at it as I'm going to bring, and I actually did a class on this one day where we talked about bringing yourself back visually to actually the studs. So, because the essence of you remains, but the way it was built was not the way you wanted to build it. So you bring yourself back to the studs, and then you rebuild your house as a metaphor yourself the way you want it.
Wow.
So it's a different way. It's just a way of seeing it in a different way. This house, I didn't pick the drapes and I didn't pick the carpet and I didn't pick the decorations. I just kind of ended up here. Now it's time for me to rip it down. But now I'm starting with nothing. I'm almost saying, what do? I have to rebuild the whole thing from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. And that's beautiful because then you create it how you like it, how you're comfortable with it, and how you can work with it.
Exactly. You make it the way you want it.
Yeah. So this is kind of what I think what you're saying in here is the discovering of yourself, right? Is you go back and reconstruct, like you said.
Yeah, you rebuild, but now you're doing it it's basically obviously when you're a kid, you don't have that ability to do that. So now you're going to rebuild it in the vision and the creation that you want, not what everybody else, and think about how many of us went into careers or did things in life that we didn't want to do because that's what we were told, that's what we were supposed to do, or that's what our parents wanted us to do. We wanted to make them happy, or went to a certain school, or did all these different things. That wasn't your essence. That maybe wasn't what you wanted. So now it's about getting back to your pure self and then rebuilding yourself in the image that you want, that feels good for you.
And it kind of goes back to where we started, where you said, when we started the conversation, you said something about you have to love yourself first, help yourself first, so you can, turn around and help others. So you're kind of doing that. You're going back to self.
Yeah, because if you can't, it's like anything else. If I don't heal myself, I can't heal someone else. If I don't help myself, it's like the old story, right? Put the mask on your mouth before the other person because you need oxygen to help you. It's the same story. So, there's so many different metaphors for that. So the bottom line is I need to focus every day on self-love. But again, it's not in an egoic way.
Yeah.
I think that's the little distinction that people want to understand. So I'm powerful, but I don't need anything from the outside. Whatever I receive, see, what happens is when somebody's in a state of self-love, they receive so much love because they're not seeking it. It just comes.
Yeah.
So that's the difference of not being in an egoic state. I'm not trying to get love from other people because I have money or because I'm successful or because I'm in good shape or I'm handsome or I'm beautiful. I'm just vibrating it. And then people are reacting to that vibration. So that's what was amazing. And as I've seen myself doing the work, it's like people responding to me in a certain way. I'm not looking for it. I don't need it, but it's coming more. So that's kind of the irony of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So let me ask you, how do we connect like the ego, right? Power without the ego with the leadership part?
Well, leadership, again, it's one of those things where we are living in a physical world and we all have an ego because it's part of the identity that we have to have these separate identities. So the idea is to say, it's really going back to what is it that you're trying to create and then what is your intention? See, so that always is the important part of it. So when you're leading, it's what is my intention and what is it that I'm trying to create and how am I, because when you're creating something, you want to do two things. You want to create something to share and you want to also receive, right? The universe wants balance. We're going to put it out. We want to receive it back. But my intention is the key because my intent, like when I write a book, my intention of the book is to help people heal. Right? Help people understand themselves at a higher level, help people demystify some of these concepts and principles that have been, to some degree, made a little confusing that I receive when people buy the book or people come and see me or people hire me to do work, right? But my intention is not, I'm doing this. Like I was working with somebody and he was writing a book. So I said to him, why do you want to write a book? And the first thing he said was, I want it to be a New York Times bestseller. I said, well, that's not why you're writing the book. That's your ego. Right, so your ego wants it to be, which doesn't. I'm not saying you shouldn't want it to be a New York Times bestseller, but that's not why you're writing it. So it's like if I worked with a lot of musicians in New York growing up, and I worked in nightclubs, and I, even worked with some people who became famous. And whenever I talked to them about what they were doing, they were so focused on creating the music. They weren't thinking about, are we going to sell this song? Can the people go? It was the creation of the music that was important for them. And then people responded to that creation. So that's what we have to look at. What is my intention before I begin? Is it an egoic intention or is it a desire? Is it a creation that I'm looking to share to help others? Or it could just be, hey, music, I want you to enjoy my music. I want to bring something to you to help your life. And then of course, my desire is to receive because that's how it works. I want to give and receive because that's very important to maintaining your high vibration.
So I guess that's an important question for people that want to be leaders and, in the leadership stuff is what is the intention behind that?
Because that's going to drive everything. If you, I've read biographies of everybody, so many famous people and successful people and, Walt Disney and, different people who have been unbelievably successful, the guys from Google as well, Larry Page and what was his name, Sergey, the other guy. And they were saying, we wanted to create Google because we felt like there was nothing at the time. There was not a good way to really search. So we wanted to create something that was going to be the best way for people to search on the internet. They did not say we want to build this so we could become this behemoth that they've become, right? You would never, I don't think in their wildest imaginations, these two young guys thought this is going to be. So it's the same thing. Walt Disney didn't want to do cartoons and Disneyland and Disney World because he thought of it as, I want to create and I want to share this and I want to bring joy to families and kids. So the creation, that point of intent is very important because that's the difference between a pure love-based creation and something that's more egoic and third dimensional.
Wow, that's beautiful because I feel like it adds more, more energy to the leadership part. you're not just, you're being a leader because, you know, whatever your intention is, but it's almost like just to serve and help those that report to you, or, you know, those that you are leading, to move, you know, to move forward and help them move on and create their own goals and dreams.
And I'm also in alignment with my higher self. See, so that's also, people feel that. People get attracted to that when they want to, you know, they want to be around that feeling of, wow, this is a place that's working toward the greater good. These people, you know, it's working as a team. We want to share the wealth. We want to help everybody. You know, it just creates a whole different vibration when the intention is pure.
I can feel it. I think that's great. That is great. Thank you so much for putting that out there like that.
Oh, my pleasure.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing that. And I know you also have a gift for our audience. Will you share that with us?
So I have a webinar which you can do an instant download. It's how to create positive changes in your life in 11 minutes a day, 7 keys to success. And if you go to freelifeschool.com, so it's freelifeschool, one word, .com, you can just put your email and name in there. And the minute you do that, you'll get an automatic download for that webinar. You can just look at it, you'll get it right away. So it's going to give you things you can do, but 7 different things you can do every day to elevate your energy and move yourself to a higher place.
Wow, I love that. Thank you for putting the leadership and the intention the way you did. I mean,
my pleasure. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that with our audience.
Well, thank you again. I thank you, Nora, for putting this together and helping me reach more people, and you're helping the world become a better place. So your intention is good.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I just felt that when you said that. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. And we'll see you later.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.